Well, hey guys. Good evening. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It's great to be with you on Inspirations for Your Life. Thank you so much for deciding to join me tonight. We have another great show. We've had an amazing master topic for quite a while, and this is another great master topic that we're going to talk about in just a moment, guys. So the master topic. Let me give you that first. The master topic for the week is motion mindset, 7 days to build unshakable momentum. That's what it's all about. All right, guys. So if you're new here, I want to take the opportunity to say welcome and thank you for joining me. If you're coming back, I want to say welcome back and thank you so much for coming back. I really do appreciate that very, very, very much. All right, guys, if you haven't heard of BelieveMeAchieve.com, what are you waiting for? Go try it out after the show, that is. You'll get my short form content, my long form content, and all kinds of other great stuff, including reels and articles. So definitely check that out. All right, guys. If you're thirsty, like I have my delicious hot cocoa here. Really hot, really delicious, amazing. If you're watching me, you're probably noticing that I have an apron on, chef's apron, because I've actually been baking. I'm on this like 25, 30-hour crusade of baking with the holidays. So if you're seeing me, that's what I'm doing. Just finished, almost finished doing spritz cookies, which I have to finish doing after this. So again, let's just dive right into the show. And I hope you guys will appreciate this because I think this is going to make it's going to make a big difference for everybody if we understand, how things all come together. I think that's probably the best thing I can say to you guys. So the first thing I want to say to you is this, and it's very, very important. And that is procrastination doesn't mean you're lazy. It means your brain is stuck in quote unquote later mode. And tonight, I'm breaking that into motion, not into theory. By the way, I'm John C. Morley. I'm a serial entrepreneur, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, graduate student, and above all, a passionate lifelong learner. And you're tuned into another amazing, powerful episode of Inspirations for Your Life, the popular daily motivational show that helps you think differently, act intentionally, and become the person you were designed to be. So tonight or today on our master series, where we were talking about this week, motion mindset, 7 days to build unshakable momentum. We're diving into Monday's topic. That's what it is today. It's Monday. It's December 1st. Happy Monday and happy December 1st. Crush procrastination in motion. Because the fastest way out of procrastination is not guilt, it's action, folks. In small, smart, repeatable moves. Start with a 5-minute just begin timer. One of the simplest and most powerful anti-procrastination tools is the 5-minute rule. Tell yourself you only have to work on the task for 5 minutes. Then you're allowed to stop. Once you begin, resistance drops and anxiety calms, and your brain shifts from avoidance to engagement mode, often making it surprisingly easy to keep going beyond those 5 minutes. That's important, guys. Do the task you dread before checking your email. Your willpower and focus are highest at the start of the day. So use that prime energy to tackle the thing you're most likely to avoid. By doing your most dreaded or important tasks before opening email or messages, you prevent other people's priorities from hijacking your momentum. And break tasks into 10-minute chunks. Procrastination loves anything that feels huge and vague. Your job is to make it small and specific. Break that intimidating project into 10-minute chunks. Outline, intro, draft, 3 bullets, points, clean one shelf, so your brain sees something it can actually wrap itself around, start, and actually finish. Remove one thing from your desk. A cluttered space makes it easier to distract yourself and harder to focus on. Remember, just one item from your desk that doesn't need to be there. A random pile, an old mug, a stack of mail. And you send your brain a subtle signal. We're making room for action. Well, right now I could take a look. What do I need now? So I don't need this flashlight on my desk. I have that here. The tape, I don't need that on my desk. It can go in my drawer. And I've already taken a couple things away, right? So work in focused sprints with tiny pieces. And with this method, it's like the Pomodoro technique. Work for about 25 minutes on just one task, then take a 5-minute break. These short, focused bursts lower the psychological barrier to starting and help you maintain energy without burning out. That's important. Tell someone what you'll finish by lunch. So, accountability boosts follow through. Message a friend and colleague or a partner and say, hey, by lunch, I will finish X. And then check back in. People who share specific goals and timelines are more likely to act and achieve them. Turn off all your notifications for 1 hour. Can you do that? Constant pings feed procrastination by giving you easy escape hatches. Whenever a task feels uncomfortable, well, turn off notifications on your devices for just 1 focused hour so you can put your attention on things and not have it constantly pulled away to things that don't really matter. So I think those are important things to realize. And when we can realize these things, we actually get the tools to be better in our life. I mean, I think that's a very important thing to realize. So ask, what's the smallest step I can do right now? Okay. Really good hot chocolate. By the way, it's Swiss Miss, and sometimes I add a few extra marshmallows in it. When you feel stuck, don't argue with yourself. Get curious. Ask, what's the absolute smallest step I can take right now and make it tiny enough that it feels almost too easy to refuse? Do that step immediately. The second you identify that smallest step, open the document, write 1 sentence, gather 1 folder, do it. Immediate action, even tiny starts, rewiring your habit from think and delay to decide and move. Reward yourself after completing 1 chunk. See, your brain loves rewards, and small celebrations help lock in new behavior. After finishing a 10-minute chunk or a sprint, give yourself a micro reward. Stand up, stretch, sip your favorite drink, like I have my hot chocolate here, or take a quick walk. Reinforcing that action leads to something positive. And our brain, again, I said, loves to have rewards. It really, really loves rewards. That's something I think a lot of people don't understand, and they don't realize like what's going on in their life, but rewards are important. Use a simple checklist and cross things off. I've been doing this for years. This is the greatest thing. I use something on paper, I write it down, and then I cross it off. It reduces mental clutter by getting tasks out of your head and onto paper. Each time you physically cross something off, you get a small dopamine hit that makes continuing to work feel more satisfying. Say I choose to instead of I have to. Language shapes your mindset. Replacing I have to this with I choose to do this, because it moves you out of victim mentality mode and back into ownership mode, which increases motivation and lowers emotional resistance. Change locations if you're stuck. Sometimes your environment is tied to your procrastination habit. If you've been spinning your wheels for more than 15 to 20 minutes, move to a different room, table, or even just stand instead of sitting to signal a reset to your brain. Put your phone in another room for 30 minutes. Phones are portable procrastination machines. For 1 30-minute block, physically put your phone in another room. Can you do that? Research on focus and sprint methods shows that removing easy distractions dramatically improves depth of your work. Start with an easy win to build momentum. If you feel overwhelmed, pick 1 quick, meaningful task you can finish in under 10 minutes. Early wins sense this creation of progress. And once you're moving, it's much easier to tackle something harder next. But getting the engine going is often hard for people to understand. So let's realize that, and hopefully we can make some changes in our life. Now, I want to tell you that most people don't always get it, okay? So the way you're going to get it is by training your brain. Set a deadline and shorten it a bit. Open-ended tasks invite delay. Give yourself a clear, slightly tighter deadline. I'll finish this draft in 40 minutes instead of an hour, to trigger healthy urgency and cut out unnecessary perfectionism. Work standing for one block. Your physiology affects your psychology. Try doing one sprint standing up at a counter, a standing desk, or even with your laptop or on a box, which can increase alertness and help you feel more in gear. So turn background noise into focus music. If background noise distracts you, replace it with focus supporting sounds. Instrumental music, white noise, or ambient soundtracks. Many people find this helps them drop into, quote unquote, the work zone faster and stay there longer. Avoid opening extra tabs just to check. Just to check. Well, that tab is really an invitation to drift or procrastinate. Make a rule for one sprint. No new tabs unless they are directly needed for the task at hand, which protects your attention from scattering across the internet. Ask if the tasks can be simplified. Perfectionism often makes tasks bigger than they need to be. Ask, what would a simple, good enough version of this look like? So you can move forward instead of waiting for the perfect conditions or perfect output. Ask if it can be delegated or delayed not. Everything you're procrastinating on actually belongs on your plate right now. Ask honestly, can someone else do this? Or can this be done later without real damage? And if the answer is yes, adjust accordingly. Visualize how good it will feel finished. Take 20 to 30 seconds imagining the relief and satisfaction of having this task done. The clear desk, the sent, the email, the finished project. Positive visualization can increase your willingness to start because your brain gets a taste of the reward early, ahead of time. So do a 10-minute or really a 10-second countdown, I should say, and move when you catch yourself hesitating. Count down from 10, 9, 8, 7, etc. And when you hit 1, physically move into action. Click the file, stand up, start typing. That micro ritual turns a vague intention into a clear launch sequence. You've probably done this before. Maybe you're in bed and you're like, okay, I'm going to give myself to the count of 10. I'm going to give myself to the count of 60. And then you get up, right? You do get up. Forgive yourself for yesterday's delay. Beating yourself up for procrastinating actually makes you more likely to procrastinate more again, because it increases shame and avoidance. Self-compassion, acknowledging the delay, forgiving yourself, and gently refocusing has been shown to reduce procrastination and support long-term motivation. Speak one encouraging sentence to yourself. Feed your mind the words you wish. Someone else would say, it can be as simple as, you've done harder things than this, or 5 minutes is all we're committing to right now. Positive self-talk helps shift you from fear into capability mode. Now, I think this is something a lot of people like they get tripped up on because they're like, "Oh my gosh, well, what if I run out? What if it starts too early, or if it happens too soon? Like, what do I do?" And I think that's something that a lot of people, they get stuck on it, right? It's nothing to be ashamed of. They get stuck on. So finish one thing before starting another. So many companies I know, they're all about multitasking, chatting, phone calling. But when you multitask, you really can't give excellent high quality service. You just can't. Multitasking is often just, well, disguised procrastination. Commit to finishing one small piece fully before hoping to the next task, which builds confidence and leaves you with visible proof that you can follow through. Use a visible timer on your desk, a simple kitchen timer, a screen timer, or countdown on your desk. It creates a container for your effort. Seeing time move nudges you to stay engaged, and it reminds you that you're not committing forever just for this focused block, this moment, this unit of time. End the day with a done list, not just to-do list. Before you shut down, write down what you actually accomplished today. A done list counterbalances the brain's habit of only seeing what's unfinished and helps you end the day feeling capable instead of behind. Note what worked so you can repeat it. Ask yourself, what helped me get moving today? Maybe it was the 5-minute rule, changing locations, or texting a friend. Capture that so tomorrow you can intentionally reuse the tactics that work for your unique brain style. Go to bed proud you moved, not stalled. The real win today isn't perfection, it's motion. If you took even one micro step, right, today, you were avoiding yesterday. Let yourself feel proud of that because a motion mindset is built one tiny courageous action at a time, not a gigantic heroic burst. And as we think about all these things, and we think about procrastination from its point, people procrastinate because maybe they just don't know one thing. And that one thing could prevent them from totally getting where they need to be. Okay? That one thing that you want to be is something very, very interesting. But if you don't know what that is, then how do you ever grow? How do you ever change your mind? Right? I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize. Okay? They don't realize it because, again, they get stuck. And they get stuck in this weird way that puts them in this, counterproductive circle. Have you ever been to forest before? And have you ever found yourself, going around, maybe yourself or you're with some friends, and you're going around for several hours, but you keep not getting where you need to be. You just don't get anywhere. And so you're like, didn't we pass this tree? No, that was a different tree. So you go down, you do this a couple times. Then so he says, well, you know what? Maybe we should mark the tree because I think it's, no, it's not. All right, we'll mark it just for the heck of it. Son of a gun. We're going in circles. So now you know that you're going the way in circle and you keep doing it. So now you can know how to go the other way. Does that help? I think it does. I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be perfect, right? And if we do that, then I'll tell you, it can really pull us down. I think we get an idea, okay? And then when we get stuck and we can't do the idea, it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? We don't know. And so if we don't know, then we put ourselves into this loop, a loop that's not healthy for us, a loop that's draining our own energy. Now, maybe we were somewhere before, but now we're not. Okay. And you didn't know where it happened or why it happened. All you know is that it's now happened. Okay. Does that make sense? I think when we hear the word procrastination, the first thing we want to do is say, oh, no, 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 it's not me. I don't procrastinate. But then if somebody points it out to us that we're procrastinating, it's like we want to try to defend it. So if you have somebody who's procrastinating and you want to get them to stop, you need to not talk about the procrastination, but talk about the taking action. People don't like to be thrown under the bus. Maybe you have great intentions. I know from being a coach for a long time. You have to reward the positive behavior and talk about the behavior you want to change. Make a suggestion that, if we maybe tried it this way, it might give us a better result. How about we give it a try? And that doesn't put you down when somebody says that. But if I say, gee, you're procrastinating, you better do it this way, you're going to be fighting me in every darn way. But I say, hey, Joe, that was good. I have an idea. Why don't we give this way a try and let's see if it's even more efficient. And now you're open to it because I made as a suggestion to you. When I make a suggestion to you, you're like, huh. Like I always say something like the Columbo approach. Like, well, Joe, that way's worked for a while. I have an idea. Why don't we give this way a try? All right, I guess we could do that, John. And I make it like a suggestion. I don't make it like, hey, Joe, you got to do this. And if he says no, oh, okay. No problem. Eventually, they'll probably come around and say, you know what, maybe we should give that way a try. Or maybe something happens where I'm like, so do you want to give this other way a try? It might be a little more helpful. But you have to be humble in the way you approach it. So many people I know that have done coaching before me, they try to do this whole thing where they're better than everybody else. All right. That's important. And I'll tell you that if you do it with respect and you do it with humility, okay, I can tell you that people are going to pay more attention to you and they're going to want to try it. Not because you mentioned it, but because, well, they're curious, right? And when we're curious about something, it's like, maybe I should give that a try. When you make it as a suggestion, people are so willing to want to that's why I said, well, Joe, why don't we give it a try? It's so innocent, it's so easygoing that people are like, yeah, let's give it a try. But if I be like, Joe, you got to try it this way. It's gonna be much better. Remember, he's gonna be like, no, and it'd be so against it. Like, well, why don't we just give it a try? What do we have to lose? Right? Make it so light, make it so airy like that. And then it's like, let's just give it a try and let's just see what happens. I think that's the missing link. So that's how you can get somebody to stop procrastinating. Now, if it's you that's procrastinating, okay, you can say to yourself, look, this is how I've been doing in the past, and it's gotten me some results. I'd be open to trying something else to maybe see if I could, manage my time better. And so one suggestion I might say is, well, guys, if you want to do that, I mean, if you're open to it, maybe make a to-do list and cross things off. I mean, you don't have to, but it's just an idea. And of course, you're going to want to do it, right? You're the one coming to me and asking me. So anything I suggest, you're going to be like, yeah, but I have to make everything seem like a suggestion. Like, well, you could do that. And, you could reward yourself if it goes well. You could break it into chunks. You could. And all these coulds are in your mind, and they're serving like, Or I might say something like, hey, guys, so if you try that, what do you think that would look like? What do you think that would sound like? What do you think that would feel like? I'm in the process of doing that now as I'm process of building my dream home. I was like, what's it going to feel like in my new kitchen? What's it going to look like? And it's funny, as I started doing this, I started having dreams about, for the very first time, just the other day, what my dream home is going to look like. And I was designing my kitchen and how it has the Vulcan stoves, and I like to bake a lot. And I said, gee, I'd like to have this kitchen, and I'd like to have the oven in my kitchen, but I'd also like to have a separate kitchen, like in my studio, that I have cameras that I could press, and I could have myself be able to put myself live and stream, have different kinds of cameras, have them all connected to live and do records all by myself, and have the same kind of stoves, and then do the whole thing there. So I'm not actually doing it in my personal home. I'm doing it in my studio, which has a stove. So that got me very excited, guys. I got to tell you. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching or listening to the ever-popular Inspirations for Your Life show with myself, John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, graduate student, and a passionate lifelong learner, guiding you through Crush Procrastination in Motion as part of our Motion Mindset 7 Days to Build Unshakable Momentum series. Tonight's challenge is simple. Pick just 3 of these strategies and use them in the next 24 hours and prove to yourself that you are someone who moves, not someone who waits. Comment below and let me know how it worked. For more tools and inspiration and resources, visit believemeachieve.com, and I'll catch you real soon. Be well, everyone, and have a great one.